I'm going to start this by talking about what I'm going to do and why I'm going to do it, and what my requirements are for what I'm looking for, because I'm going to put this on YouTube. So, if you're on YouTube, thank you for tuning in. I'm going to talk about my next career, my next GM move, and I'm going to go for the Major League Steals record, which is quite high. So as you can see, the overall record is 581 in 1887, but prior to 1898, a player was credited with a stolen base if they took the extra base on a hit. After that, it was 364 by the Baltimore Orioles, but not the Baltimore Orioles that exist today. That team actually folded after this season right here. That was their last season. And then another team, I believe it was actually this team right here, ended up becoming the St. Louis Browns, but it might be a different St. Louis Browns. Old Major League Baseball is confusing. And then after the dead ball era, you have the Athletics with 341 in 1976, and the NL record post dead ball is the 1985 Cardinals, who lost the World Series to the Kansas City Royals. That's not important for the run. I just like rubbing it in their face. So the rules that I'm gonna set out here is my catchers must have either 55 speed or 55 steal, or 50 in both. That's going to be really hard, and I may have to forgive this rule, because looking around in Out of the Park the other day, just looking at a lot of catchers, those don't exist. First base must have either 55 speed or 60 steal. That's a lot more likely. You have a lot of first basemen who have better steal ratings, even if they're slower. And then all other positions must be at least 60 speed and 60 speed or 60 steal, and 65 in one of them. I was going to do 65 in both, but that was really hard to find. So, and there's no rules in pitchers. Like I said, the goal is 581 steals or at least 341. So, and then there are some other things to consider in which team I'm going to choose. Well, other things to consider about this run. So the pitchers that we're going to use, I want a pitcher with high movement, because faster players probably have better defense, so we want to take advantage of that. Doesn't need to be a ground ball or fly ball pitcher, but we definitely want high movement. Manager, we either want a small ball manager or maybe GM and manager to manage ourselves. I don't want to do that. I'm going to try and go with a small ball manager. And I can draft guys who don't meet these requirements. I can draft players that don't meet those requirements. I just can't call them up to the major league level. I have to trade them before they get to that point. So park factors is something that I want to talk about. Something that I take into consideration when doing challenge runs like this. And it's how much a park affects how different things happen there, because no two major league ballparks are the same. So it's unique to Major League Baseball, and pretty much every other professional sport. All the fields are the same. So, Out of the Park has the average, has park factors for average, doubles, triples, and home runs. And then overall, and by hand for average and home runs. So it has average for everyone, then average for right-hand batters, average for left-hand batters. I'm just worried about overall. I'm not gonna break it down like that. We would ideally want a park that's going to increase the average and decrease, or not at least increase, home runs, because that's going to play to our hands. We don't want balls leaving the yard. We want to let our defense do the work. And if someone hits a home run, they can't steal bases. So the other thing to talk about is the budget. So if anyone tuned into my Royals sim, you will know I had a lot of problems with budget. I couldn't increase my development budget, so I was stuck with, players panning out as they panned out. So the more money you have in your development budget, the more your players are likely to develop, and they'll develop quicker. This still isn't a guarantee. It's still somewhat RNG based, and you can usually increase this by taking money from other parts of the budget. The draft budget, for me, I find that it always over budgets for the draft for what I pay, so I can usually take a few million from there. And then, obviously, you need to consider payroll. So, I signed 2 players, Nicky Lopez, and I don't remember the guy for the Mets I signed. They're not really home run guys. They're more get on base and steal bases kind of guys. They signed for a lot less than Pete Alonso, who's a home run guy, who signed for, I think, 80 million over 4 or 90 million over 4 years, when these guys signed for less than 90 million over like 7 or 8 years. But if you're going to sign your top players are going to be players like Mike Trout, Mookie Betts, Cody Bellinger, Francisco Lindor, players like that have the speed and power combination. They're going to cost a lot of money. 40 million. I've seen that quite a few times for players like this. So, a bigger budget is going to help you there. So, the first team here is the Kansas City Royals. These teams I'm considering are actually in no specific order. They're just in the order I thought of them. And I thought of the Royals because when am I not thinking of the Royals? So the park factors, a little bit boost in average, boost in doubles and triples, lowers home runs. That should play into our hands a little bit. But there's a lower budget. I can tell you all about that. The development budget is low. You will have the 4th overall pick to pick a guy for your to start your speed run, and they have quite a few speedy guys in the system already, because that's kind of how the team has focused on drafting position players. But they're mostly outfielders. It's a good start, but it's not going to get you to 581 or probably even 340. Next up is the San Francisco Giants. You can see their park factors here. It suppresses everything but triples. They have a huge budget and a huge development budget, and you can pour more into that. The owner is understanding, and he will have more patience with you as you convert. Sorry, I feel horrible over here. I don't think they have a really high draft pick this year, and I'm not aware of any good prospects that they have for speed, but I could be wrong. The San Diego Padres, ballpark factors, suppresses everything, suppresses hitting in general. The owner is a penny pincher, but tolerant. You had a decent budget, not great. It'll probably go up when you start winning. Fernando Tatis is in the 2nd season, and he could be a franchise player for a decade. He's going to be one of those 40 million players if he pans 40 million a year players if he pans out. Really quickly, Irish Exit, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for joining us. We're going over what I'm looking for in a team I choose for this run right now. Go ahead and drop a follow if you want to see more. Gonna stream this probably for quite a while. This is probably gonna take me a few weeks of playtime, especially with how little I play with other things going on. So, and then they have a lot of pitching prospects. I couldn't find any other speed prospects that met the requirements. I looked a lot, because I thought they did, and then I remembered, they traded away Emmanuel Margot. So, that's not ideal, but, that's fine. You get to draft them. They should have a decent draft pick, not too high, maybe back into the top 10, but they have a lot of talent on the team, so should be pretty good, pretty set. The only thing to watch out for is Manny Machado is signed for 8 more years potentially. He's got the opt-out, but he might not exercise that if he falls off, so. The Miami Marlins are another one. It suppresses, again, everything but triples, but you have no budget. I remember the Marlins because I was actually going to do a challenge run last year with Knuckleballers, and they were the team I chose because it suppresses all this stuff so much. The owner is demanding an economizer, and he expects you to have a winning record in 2020, and you have the 3rd overall pick, so the team has nothing. So good luck meeting that goal. Nothing has changed in the sense that the Miami Marlins are still hard mode. I think even now, I think maybe the Orioles are close, but I think you have a better budget with them and not as bad of an owner. I think the Marlins are still hard mode, so it would be viable for something like this, but man, it would be hard. The Tigers are another team I kind of call hard mode, but mostly because of the Miguel Cabrera contract. The ballpark factors are a little higher than I thought, especially for home runs, because that's a huge ballpark. I was not surprised by these being higher and this being a little higher, but this is the one that surprised me. It's a huge ballpark in real. The budget is lower right now. For those of you who watched Major League Baseball in the late 2000s, early 2010s, you know they used to carry a payroll around $200 million a year. That was Mike Ilitch, the current owner's father. He was hell-bent on winning, and he was going to spend until he got there. It didn't work out, but now he has a new son, or his son is running things now, so we're not sure how much money you'll get in once the team starts winning again. It'll go up just like everyone else. You get more money when you're winning, but not sure how much money exactly you'll get. And again, that Cabrera contract, $154 million over 5 years. Yeah, that's gonna suck. I think there's an option on the end of that. I think it's a team option, but I'm not sure. And then the Boston Red Sox. I was just looking around for other options to see if there was anyone I was missing, and the Red Sox were actually the first team I checked, just because I figured it wouldn't work out. And then I saw that it suppressed home runs. That's a decent suppression of home runs. And it does okay on everything else. You will have a huge budget. And again, just like Machado and Cabrera, you have someone signed as a position player, 35 speed. They're signed for a long time. And again, they want you to build a dynasty. You have a decent team to work with. It's going to be a longer rebuild in that sense, because you're going to have to try to keep building things, keep winning as much as possible, or at least stay in the playoff hunt. Foot Knight 82 and UGA Bulldogs, thank you for joining us. Welcome to the stream. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Don't forget to drop a follow if you want to catch more of this. And by catch more of this, I mean my attempt to break the steals record with the San Francisco Giants. So I'm not playing in challenge mode. I'm playing in commissioner mode. I'm not going to do too much player editing. There's a couple of things I'm going to do. Commissioner mode, for the most part, is fun to play in. I'm still going to leave on owner goals. I'm not going to use commissioner mode to, like, assign myself someone. Like, I'm going to play it legit. You just want to have the options. So, playoffs in 5 seasons, play close to 500 ball. All of these are doable. Not sure I want to assign Hunter Pence to an extension. And keep in mind, right now we don't have to meet those requirements because we are so far away from, what do you call it? We're so far away from meeting that goal. We're just trying to build up right